Good morning and welcome back. Mr. Parker here live for today's episode of Homeschool Psychology, the talk show. And we have a fantastic show today. And I hope you're on time and you're not running late because we're going to be talking all about time management. On our show today is Amanda Thompson, the Chief of Culture at Student Made, which is like a cleaning service that only hires students. And our musical guest is Kahone Concept, a fantastic artist, and I can't wait to hear what they have to say about time management. So, what does it mean to manage your time? Why is it important? Well, time management is how we balance our busy schedules, right? Like for me, I go to work, I make this talk show, I play drums, I play guitar, I try and see my friends, I play basketball. There's so many things to do. And if I let them all pile up, they could be forgotten from my mind. I might not give it my best. I might not do all the things I really could be doing. So time management is so important. Personally, I like to make a to-do list because I like crossing things off, because I like writing on my to-do list, make a to-do list, and then I get to check it off. But I like a to-do list because I get to stay organized and I get to really see and visualize what it means to manage my time. So as we go through this episode, I hope you think about time management and what these amazing people tell us about it and how we can use it in our everyday life. So coming up is our first guest, and it is the wonderful, it is the amazing Amanda Thompson. Amanda, welcome to the show.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for being here. And I noticed you were on time, which is great for our time management episode. So Amanda, I told them a little tiny bit about who you are. You're the Chief of Culture at this really cool cleaning company, but I'm hoping you can tell us more about Student Made.
Yeah, so we hire young adults, students, and we just provide flexible schedules for them, because school already is just so time consuming. Sometimes it's hard to have a job and make money, and your classes are all over the place. So we provide flexible schedules for them, but we also want to develop them and help prepare them for future jobs. This is just kind of a small stepping stone in their life. So we have developing workshops on different types of strengths for them, one of them being time management.
Great. And what's your role as Chief of Culture? What kind of things do you get to do?
I want people to leave the absolute best version of themselves. And sometimes I think when you go into the workforce, it's hard to feel cared for. Maybe you're just a number at your job. And I want to make sure that when our students leave, they know that they're looking for an environment where they can thrive, not just a job. So I focus on, taking care of them as human beings and teaching them, this is what you deserve no matter where you are. And I also get to do a lot of fun stuff like culture events, and our kids love snacks. If you provide really awesome snacks, that makes them happy. But I do a lot of the teaching workshops and help develop the skills that they already have and show them what they already have inside them, and maybe they just don't realize. So it just kind of builds them up, and again, they take it with them to future jobs, maybe more school, into their personal life, stuff like that.
Wonderful. So
yeah,
your job focuses around people being happy at their job.
Mm-hmm.
What a wonderful thing to do.
I love it.
So tell me, our topic today is time management. And, I can manage my time. I get up, I go to work, I go home. Sure, I manage my time. But tell me more about what time management means for you and at Student Made and just in your life.
I think there is this really high expectation for, when you leave high school, let's start maybe at that age group, you're supposed to just have it all figured out. You leave high school where maybe you had family or a parent guardian helping you get to school and, you know, making dinner for you, and they helped you get from point A to point B, and you just had a lot of assistance in that. And then you leave high school and now you're supposed to have a job, have school, manage relationships and friends and homework and all of that kind of stuff, and you are like, you know, you've never done that before on your own. And I think the biggest advice that I could just give to anybody is just ask for help first. You know, don't expect to have it all figured out, and maybe you assume that's what people think, that you should, you know, have it all together. But so I would say step one is ask for help, and then the second biggest thing would be, you know, you need to protect your energy, and put the things in there that you love and that make you happy first, and then build everything else around it. So those are like what I think is the most important when it just comes to starting for time management. It's not the have a calendar and have all of this. Of course, those things are important, but if you start with, you know, let's going for a walk, or, you know, reading or something like that. I have to have that to be really, really happy. You're going to be able to have more energy and yeah, I get that. That makes sense.
No, I think that's great. So, you know, a lot of our viewers and of the students I work with, they think, well, once I get to college, I should have it figured out. And that's really not true. And,
No.
and like you said, it's okay to ask for help, and you don't have to color coordinate and have 500 calendars and sticky notes on your wall. But it starts with being happy, and because our days will stress us out for sure. That can happen.
Absolutely.
You might be driving in traffic. You might be stuck in an elevator with a bunch of people you don't want to be stuck with. And we can be stressed out, but when we add that piece of happiness, like, at least I know I'll go home and walk, or at least I brought a Snickers candy bar today and I'm going to eat it. And so having that happiness is the first step in time management. Wonderful. So, okay, I've asked for help. Maybe I talked to people who are older than me, or people who are just way more organized than me. I've scheduled some happiness in my day. I know I love watching TV and eating ice cream, so I'm going to do that 10 minutes a day, maybe. And then what? What do I do next?
Yeah, I've noticed that a lot of my students talk to themselves in a really negative way. They say, I have to do homework, I have to go to work. And that already, in the way that you're wording it, is negative, and you're making it seem like maybe you're punishing yourself. I mean, if you're going to school, you should be choosing to go to school when you're in college. I know high school is a little bit different. If you have a job, I know you need to make money, but you're choosing to go to work. There's always many different options that you have. So if you say, hey, I'm choosing to do my homework now so I can play later, I can go on a date later or have fun with friends later, once you're in that really positive mindset, you're going to notice such a huge difference in the way that you lay out your day. You're not going to have resentment towards the things that you should be doing. I don't want to say have to do, because that's where that negative wording comes in. But I always see the biggest difference with my students when I'm like, just change that one word. Just start there. You're choosing to do this. So that would be probably the next thing that I would advise when it comes to time management.
Great. So just that positive mindset. And so we take a lot of things for granted that are actually privileges.
Exactly.
I get to go to school. How exciting is that? I have to go to school again.
Yep.
So just that positive self-talk and that positive mindset get us on the path of really enjoying the things we're doing. I love it. So now I have a positive mindset. I've gotten some advice. Do I get to buy a calendar yet, or I shouldn't?
I am a huge advocate for calendars. And we live in such an amazing techie world these days where, I mean, I'm sure most, if not all, have smartphones these days, and there's so many different apps. Try to find the one that works best for you. I mean, you can just use Google Calendar, not a paid advertisement, but it works. And you know, you make sure you put in everything that you need some people can just put their appointments in the times that they have to go to school, but I like to actually be intentional about what I put on my calendar. If I know I have a project or something due at work coming up, I will say, okay, I think this is going to take me about 2 hours to do. I know what due date is, so work backwards. And then you can just plug in your study time, your work time, so you know, okay, this is the time that I'm choosing to focus on this one thing to get it done. I think too, being really clear about, what goals you have. Like sometimes, actually, no, this is very often, my students will say, Amanda, I need help. I have all of these things on my plate. I'm like, why are you doing so much at once? Like they have maybe a very unrealistic timeline. They think they have to get it all done at once, but it's okay to spread things out. You don't have to take a full load for school, or you don't have to, if you're working, you don't have to work as many hours if your bills are being paid, stuff like that. So if you notice that your calendar is starting to fill up too much and there's not enough time again for you, the me time in there, it might just be overloading you because again, your timeline of getting these things done are unrealistic.
Great. Amanda, these are all great and wonderful ideas, and I'm already feeling more organized and like I can be on top of my schedule. So we need to be purposeful about the things we do. I know personally for me, I bury my head in so many projects that I'm not always giving it my all, I guess, because how could I? If I'm in 30 different projects, we run out of hours. And so I like what you said about being purposeful about the things you do. Like, what is your short-term goal, your medium goal, and your long-term goal? And then maybe fill in a little to get there. Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Amanda, do you have any other words for our viewers today?
Yeah, this is something people might not expect to be like related to the topic of time management, but I have a lot of students who are afraid to fail, and they actually do the opposite of not filling up their schedule because they don't want to commit to something or add something to their plate because they have this internal high set of expectations and they don't want to let themselves down or maybe let a family member's teacher, whatever, let that person down, so they actually don't add more on their plate. So I would just encourage you that as long as you're trying, it's better to fail and, try and fail than not try at all. So, don't be afraid to just set that bar high, go for it. And if it doesn't work, like you try a class and you don't like it, you're shooting for a certain major and you end up changing your mind. You want to just work and try a few different jobs and see what you love. That is so much better than not trying at all. So that would be the opposite end of what I would recommend. Add more to your plate sometimes.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about risk-taking on this show and just stepping out of your comfort zone and trying new things. Mm-hmm. Maybe you don't try 500 new things.
No.
But no, I really appreciate that you said that. A lot of people will maybe be a little lazier than they should be and not fill their plate up just a little bit. So Thank you so much for saying that. Amanda, thank you so much for being here today.
Yes, of course.
We hope to talk to you soon, and we'll have all the info for Student Made in our bio. And thank you again.
Thanks, guys.
Bye. Wow. Amanda Thompson telling us all about time management. She works for an amazing company. And what I really appreciate about her is that she brings positivity to her workplace, to the people she works with, to just everybody in her life. And I just think positivity is so important because while you're managing your time, it's pretty hard to do that when you're in a negative space or you're feeling upset or you just tell yourself, I have so much to do, I can't do it. And Amanda talked a lot about bringing us back down to earth and saying, hey, there is some really great going on, even if you're really busy. So thank you, Amanda. The next part of our show is the wonderful Teddy and Pocky giving us some weather. Teddy, Pocky, what do you got?
My toy. It's hot. No, my toy.
Thanks, guys. Cool. Anyway, here's another wonderful part of the show. It is our kids section.
Thanks, Mr. Parker. I'm gonna draw. Back to you.
Awesome, awesome job. Next part of our show brings us to the fantastic musical masterpiece that is Kahone Concept. Kahone Concept is going to sing us a song, and then we're going to do a little interview with him.
Speak to me. I wanted you to speak to me, 'cause everything is not the same. I'm lonely, every pain's temporary. You will find a version to my name. Speak to me, 'cause everything is not the same. I want it back to you. Tell me things, oh, tell me all the things you see, even the ones you say you're not to tell me. Maybe in the end they'll help me every day. I wake up feeling just the same. Maybe one day I'll finally learn from my own damn mistake. To come back and be the home of this love is all I've known. I'm worried that I'll only ever feel this way. Speak to me, 'cause everything is not the same. I want it back to you. People talking will find different ways. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. People talking will find different ways. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Speak to me, 'cause everything is not the same. I want it back to you. Speak to me. I wanted you to speak to me, 'cause everything is not the same. I'm lonely, my heart breaks, is temporary. You will find the version's not my thing.
I am here with Ben, who is all of the parts of Kahone Concept. Ben, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me.
And you're all the way over in mildly chilly Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh?
Yeah, that's pretty perfect way to describe it.
So, Ben, we just listened to your phenomenal song. And now I just want to hear from you. What does time management mean to a world famous drive-in movie theater playing musician?
A lot of it is kind of holding yourself accountable. So on days when you think things don't matter are the days that you kind of need to crack down the most, because those are days when you're going to find it might be harder to get started. But for me, once I get in the groove, they're the days that are the most productive. So for me, time management, it's a lot of forcing myself through the motions until it kind of snowballs into something that's more natural. And what that looks like on a normal day is recently what I've been doing the past couple of weeks is sure I'm waking up at a time that feels sometimes uncomfortable, but it allows me to get in kind of a work mindset to where whenever I do wake up, I'm ready to go do what I had planned for that day. So normally, like, I like to start off with something light that doesn't get me too overwhelmed, and then I'll work into the thing that I'm dreading the most.
Okay. So, I work all week. It's Sunday morning. I just want to sleep in and eat some ice cream and watch TV. But you're saying that's the time I should be pushing myself to maybe create, maybe manage my time, maybe do something that I wouldn't normally do.
Yeah, I think so. And it doesn't necessarily have to be, the worst task you can think of. But and then I think it also probably depends on maybe what you're working on. But for me, with music, there's a lot of time outside of music that you have time that you can think of things to do that maybe aren't as like obvious. So I spend a lot of time looking up equipment. So if it's like a Saturday or Sunday and I'm watching a movie or TV, I'm also on my phone on like Facebook Marketplace, like scavenging for like deals or looking up like listings of things I've had my eye on. And so it's not necessarily like the hardest task, but it's still kind of being productive towards just a small part of what I maybe wanted to accomplish.
So time management isn't about like, here's my big goal. I'm going to be this huge thing and I'm just going to skip right to it. Time management is about all the steps to get there.
Yeah, for me, and I'm sure if you asked a million different people, you'd get a million different answers. But I feel like I can probably get intimidated pretty easily by tasks, and maybe other people can relate to that. And so if you view it as just like one giant goal, then it's going to seem so far away. But if you break it down into steps, it makes it a lot more manageable. And those small victories and those small steps is going to, one, you're going to get closer to that goal, but you're also going to like mentally, you're going to be even more ready for the next step and kind of push yourself by completing the things. And I remember watching like a YouTube video, or maybe it was like even a Facebook video like a couple years back, and it was viral, but like it makes a lot of sense. It was some guy talking about how like the first thing you should do when you wake up, and I don't always do it, but is make your bed. And it sounds kind of lame, but the idea behind it is no matter what you have to do for that day or however big the task is you have to do, making your bed is such a small little victory, and it'll give you just like a little boost that you need to get onto the next thing. And so I think chipping away at it is definitely the way to go.
I think sometimes just getting out of bed is a big victory.
Oh,
right?
oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
When it's like snowing and negative 500 degrees over where you are and you don't want to leave that warm bed, you just get out, and that's the first step. And then you make your bed, and that's number 2, and you've already done 2 things and you just woke up.
Absolutely. That's exactly, the mentality that I try to have, and however, like it applies to, whoever's listening life. It doesn't necessarily have to be just your bed, but just an example.
And that's awesome. Thank you so much for talking with us about time management and, playing an amazing song for us. We're going to have all your information in the bottom so everyone can check out your channel and all of your great music. Is there anything else you want to tell everybody watching how to manage their time better, or just words of wisdom from Ben?
Well, thank you very much for having me, and thanks for the kind words and putting it together. I appreciate it. I guess my advice is, if you're watching this, you're already probably in a good place because you're educating yourself and, working towards bettering yourself. So after the podcast, maybe do something that you wanted to do or needed to get done.
Perfect. Like go eat ice cream. Thanks, Ben. You're right. I think I will.
If that's your goal, hey.
Ben, thank you again so much for being here. I hope you have a wonderful evening.
Yeah, absolutely. You too.
Bye.
Take care.
Absolutely amazing. That song was beautiful. Those words were insightful. Thank you again. So that's our show. It was all about time management, remembering to be positive while you're managing your time, remembering to ask for help because we don't know how to do it all the time. Calendars are super helpful. Agendas are super helpful. Writing sticky notes on the wall is super helpful. Just any way that you can remind yourself of all the things you have to do. And then finding that balance between being overloaded and being underloaded, right? Not having enough to do or having too much to do. Let's try and find that balance. For me, I do a lot, but it's a lot of things that I really enjoy, so it doesn't feel overwhelming. I wonder what it is for you. I'll see you next week. Hopefully you can manage your time and make it back for Friday. Otherwise, bye!
So how are you feeling?